Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, I called the cops on my drunk neighbor, which resulted in his life imploding, or how I got new neighbors. BG, neighbor would stand in his front yard drinking from the time he got home from work until late in the evening. Drunky would spend his weekends leaning up against his garage door drinking until he could barely stand, much less walk the 20 feet to his mailbox without staggering and falling multiple times. On weekends he literally had 0 Fs to give. Drunky argued loudly from the safety of his yard with neighbors, with himself, that was always a treat, and Mrs. Drunky, who was always in sight for these arguments with her husband. Please note that on weekends Mrs. Drunky only left the house to chauffeur Drunky on multiple beer runs throughout the day, literally 1 6-pack at a time. By beer run number 2 to 3, Drunky was already rolling into the passenger seat, standing his hard man. This is just the tip of the iceberg, as I don't have enough characters here to share tales such as the Drunky Garage Party, Drunky's Dog Goes Wild, the Drunkatons Go on Vacation, Drunky Your Neighborhood Dealer, Drunky Owns the Public Street, Drunky vs the Trash Cans, and my personal favorite, Don't Pee on the Garage Door. This had been going on for years and all the neighbors were fed up with watching the Drunkaton front yard circus, but there's only so much neighbors, the police, the HOA and the city could do. The story: one Saturday afternoon I noticed Drunky making his own beer runs. As I have already shared, Drunky was an obvious lightweight and publicly drinks morning to night. Was he really making his own beer runs and risking the lives of everyone on the road? Yes, he was. So I did what any concerned neighbor would do and called to report a drunk driver. The police showed up right as Drunky was turning into the development. They followed him home and arrested him on his driveway. Subsequently, Drunky lost his job, Mrs. Drunky filed for divorce that same week, and the house was sold in the divorce. The new neighbors are a dream. And I gotta be honest guys, in this story I kind of feel bad for the Drunky guy, because alcohol, as with any other addiction, is really something that is not easy to get rid of, even though Drunky was obviously a douchebag. Losing essentially everything over an addiction that you cannot really control is probably not something that I would even wish on my worst enemies. And the next one is titled, What I Learned by Living Below Noisy Neighbors for a Year. We all were naive at the start, having never lived near such bad people before. We thought we could work things out by talking things over. Wrong, so wrong. Chronic noisy neighbors don't give a damn. If they just moved in, it is because they probably got evicted from their last place for the same crap you are now having to put up with. You think to yourself, oh geez, they might not know that they are being noisy, but trust me, they do. They just don't give a crap. They will put up a facade if you go ask them to be quieter. Sorry, I will turn it down. But the next day is the same stuff over again, and the next day as well. So what do? You start bringing out the guns from day one, calling the cops, giving notice to the LL or management, and you don't stop until they get kicked out or you cave in and move. Trust me, it won't die on its own. If you don't fight early, you will be stuck for a while. Even better if you keep anonymity, they won't harass you for giving them a hard time for their noise. These kinds of people respect nothing, they were raised this way. You won't change decades of them behaving this way, they won't change for you, you are a nuisance to them. In my case, they got evicted only when I threatened to sue them and the LL for not doing anything. Next time, I won't take so long to do that. So if you are new to this situation of living with noisy neighbors and are debating whether or not to take action, read these words. I hope it will help you make up your mind. And Ripe Stars, I would love to know, have you ever had to deal with noisy neighbors? And if so, what have you done in that situation, if you have done anything, and has it worked? Let us know in the comments. Either way, if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments if you wish to support my channel. In addition, if you want to go the extra mile, it would be absolutely amazing if you could also like the video. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, My driveway's messy? Yours will never be the same, and you walk away and your utilities and your foundation, well, you will see. We used to live in a newly upscale hill community. Apparently old hippies get possessive when they find that their hillside shack is suddenly worth 20 times what they paid. It was usually enough to fund a comfortable retirement through reverse mortgages and the like. From the first day we moved in, our older downslope neighbor was really pissy about the state of our walkways.
Get that resurfaced. Those cracks are going to erode and shower dirt down onto my driveway, and put in a proper concrete walkway, not those cheap paving stones.
I tried to be polite, but he was just full of orders on how we should make his life better, easier and prettier. His comments about our taste, our lack of compliance and other
kids these days
rants were not ever about his own place, only criticizing ours. It was unending. Including too many plants, too many invasive plants, too many poisonous plants, somehow they all were poisonous, too much mulch, too many repairs, too much new paint, what good will swallowing the yard do, not enough expensive concrete, not enough herbicides, pesticides, whatever other nasty sprays he likes to kill things with. The space between our property and his was our paving stone walkway on dirt, a 2 feet wood retaining wall and then his poured walkway. His yard was mowed, sprayed and beaten into concession, all bare dirt, nothing planted to hold soil. It had been so long since his soil was protected that there were visible erosion runnels. No wonder he was worried about erosion, he was building new rivers across his property. In a few years he had escalated to threatening to call the authorities on us. We had code enforcement out twice in a month for wasting water until they refused to make any more special trips. He kept calling different city departments to check up on our plans or report us for anything possible. Twice we got a permit for small repairs. He called every day to try to get us in trouble. He even lied about an unpermitted pool to the authorities, who got there and just sighed, toured the unexcavated backyard yet again and left. He was always yelling about something out a window every time he saw us. It got so bad that I had to sneak out to the garden. So when the market got markedly better, we put the house on the market. It sold just at the beginning of our rainy season. 2 days before we moved, I left him 2 going away presents. Number 1, I bought dried blackberries and mixed them with birdseed and then I cast it across his backyard. For 2 days, blackberries will find a way to grow even in the worst, most oversprayed, sterile soil. As birds eat, they poop, so in a few hours the birds were depositing loads of blackberries and nutrient-rich guano everywhere on his property. Now we had mulched down between established plants, so no new plants on our side, but awful neighbor quickly had a bramble patch. Some of those thorn canes can get bigger than your thumb and underground crowns bigger than your fist. Number 2, running bamboo will wedge into every crack available, buckling walkways and growing underground in surprising directions. It created a delightful privacy fence the new owners loved and did not bother our solid foundation or paving stones at all. When it popped up in his yard, it had spread 7 feet out into his territory and busted up every one of his walkways. I don't think his foundation was very solid. He was apparently complaining that he found bamboo growing inside his basement for years afterwards. I'm just glad I got the opportunity to help my neighbor with his erosion problem. And the next one is the titled story, and it is titled Block My Driveway, I Will Go Ahead and Take Your Vehicles. Friday night here in the country can get a little crazy sometimes, so I don't mind when my neighbors cause a ruckus or loud party, as long as it is not too crazy. Tonight I'm on call for Virginia State Police towing rotation, which means I've got 25 minutes to get to wherever the wreck/DUI/impound/etc. is. As luck would have it, my neighbors are having a party, and guess what is blocking my driveway? That is right, about 25 to 30 cars. I live down a dirt road at the end of a cul-de-sac and it is pretty narrow. One in, one out type of deal, and with this rain we've been having, parking in the grass/clay and mud is really not the best idea. Even with a 4x4 it can still get tricky. I noticed a few cars coming in early this evening and walked over to my neighbors and made it pretty clear I was on call, and as long as they didn't block the road or my driveway, all would be good. No problems here. Well, I get a call from my boss asking if I can go warm up the rotator and the light duty flatbed tow trucks. It is about 12:30 am, so I get my boots on and other gear, because if I'm up I might as well stay at the shop and clean a few things to stay busy and make the night move along. I get in my car, and as I am backing out of the driveway, I notice I am blocked in. I don't mean by one truck, but by nearly 15 different vehicles. I calmly walk over to my neighbors, which is a little hike, and as I am looking for them through the crowd of drunk teenagers, some idiot wants to know why I am on his property. He's not the property owner. I've never seen this classy gentleman before. Finally, I find my neighbor and ask her if she can move the cars. "I've got to go to work," she says in a normal tone, doesn't yell over the music, into the house.
"Whoever is blocking the driveway next door, move your trucks,"
and then slams the door in my face. I knock again and she answers with a drunken,
"Oh god, this stupid woman again."
Internally I'm thinking, alright then, I do my best to explain I'm on call and need to get out of my driveway to go to work. She comes back sloshing a natural light, exclaiming it's a party. Relax. Shuts the door in my face and yells,
"Screw that stupid woman."
I smile, and as I am walking away, Macho Man throws a beer at me and cackles,
"Yeah, you best leave. Go on, git."
I get on the phone with dispatch and call for as many trucks as we have available tonight, about 10, and tell them to come on over. Mama's got some PPIs, private property impounds. I call police dispatch and ask if they had sent out an officer in case things get out of hand. And as soon as he gets to my place, my rigs start rolling up and hooking vehicles up and taking them to the impound yard. We get down to the last 3 vehicles, a yellow Civic, gold Silverado and an old F-150. The Civic owner bolts to his car and takes off. The Silverado girl, pretty wasted, gets stuck and starts tearing up my property. Officer walks over and she throws a fit. Long story short, she gets arrested for underage drinking and DUI. The Ford owner doesn't show up. I get to work after all the impounds, and with me I brought coffee and snacks for my drivers. Tomorrow, not a business day, which means if these tools want their cars back, it is going to be the regular $289.50 plus 2 days of storage at $55 a day and a $100 gate fee. I make a note in every single storage sheet, papers that the vehicle owners get, to thank the girl who had the party for getting towed. Several of the kids' parents called wanting to know where their cars or trucks were. I gave them the yard address and told them they can come anytime. As soon as they started shouting about illegal tows and threatened with lawyers, I showed them pictures of their cars with no parking signs. And explained that I tried to reason with the owner of the property, me, but she was tired of being blocked in by drunken teenagers. There are signs on my road saying no parking and not to block the driveway. Don't piss off a tow truck driver, she will legally take your vehicles. Entitled Neighbor Invites Himself into My Home. So we are getting our stairs opened up in a 1950s cape. The guy is a one-man contractor who does amazing work. He has not been wearing a mask, but given the heat and for the most part the plastic barrier to stop dust and such while he's cutting and demoing, we decided to let it go. Well, our neighbor a couple houses down is buddy-buddy with this guy because he's also a contractor. While the plastic seal was up, he came over a couple times, mostly talking at the doorway or outside. We let it go even when it dragged on to 9 PM. Today, one of the last days when all the plastic has been taken down, he invites himself in my home to help the guy who, again, is a one-man shop. He also does not seem excited to have him around. No plastic up, no masks. I get annoyed down in my basement as I realize the multiple voices I hear are the contractor and my neighbor. I talk to my husband quietly downstairs and decide to go out for something. I am pretty shy and non-confrontational. I was not going to say anything, even with my husband's high-risk factor for the virus. But as I walk up, he is in my dining room and says,
"Am I annoying you that I am in your house right now?"
Clearly he heard me downstairs, and yes, you idiot. So I say, well, actually yeah, I'm not even letting family in my house right now given the circumstances. He ended up leaving, but not before offering again to help the contractor who has done amazing work all on his own. Also, the other day, this is the same guy who got mad at my husband for making 2 cuts slightly before 8 AM on a Saturday and who said,
"People tell me everything on this street."
okay, sure, king of the neighborhood over here. And the next one is an epic tale and it is titled Neighbor's Son's Life Ruined After Messing with My Maniacal Father. We are from the south and now when they first moved in we used to shoot guns a lot just for fun and had little games like who had the better shot and stuff like that. Well, they were from California, so they had never shot or knew anything about guns, and it startled them. They asked us to not shoot during the evening if that was possible because they host dinner parties quite frequently for their clients, whom are from California as well, and last time they said they were all scared to death. So we stopped. Since they asked politely, we stopped at around 2 to 3 PM before the evening, and then they said they were leaving town for a few months and their son would be there, so if possible they would like my dad to keep an eye on him and check up on him. Well, he partied a lot. My dad didn't say anything about it really, since he was 21 and it wasn't any of his business if he got drunk, smoked some green stuff, etc. But he looked out for potentially harmful things like doing something stupid, like drunk driving and stuff like that. And then the almost nightly rave started about 2 weeks in, and at first we didn't care, it was their property, their business, but then it got louder as they built a party area, not but about 50 feet away from our house on their property line. We then just asked nicely to keep it down a little since they came closer and we had a baby, the second of my 4 little sisters in the house, that was losing a lot of sleep over this, and he acted all smug and said,
"It is the country, baby. No noise violations out here."
And went on to even saying things like,
"That's on you, bro, for having a kid."
And before anyone says anything, I crap you not, the little prick actually said something that stupid. Then proceeded to say,
"Your kid's health is not my problem, guy."
Now my dad is not a violent person at all. My dad is quite the pacifist and believes we can solve more with words than fists, but don't literally say, "I'm gonna ruin your child's health because I'm a jackass," and then act surprised when he starts moving towards you to beat your ass. Needless to say, he, like most guys like him, didn't try to fight but had his friends jump in front of him while he talked crap. My mom talked my dad down as he had his can opener ready to open a can of whoop ass, and we went back. Well, my dad had enough, so he did what he always does when he would think. He lit a cigarette and sat outside and watched nature. He then, with the skin crawling, gut bubbling, devilish smile turned to me and said, "Son, go get our guns and bring out the targets. Also, get the cheap ammo. We are gonna burn through it." So, being in a southern state and just right out of city limits, we shot our guns with extra cheap ammo all night long for about 3 weeks, 50 foot from them at targets, and ignored them as they pleaded with us to stop. They called the sheriff so much they started ignoring them and never sent another car, and even threatened them to stop calling as what we were doing was very legal, and my dad said the last time they came out and told them we are within our rights to do this, he said,
"It is the country, baby. No noise violations out here."
And that is true, it is all community regulated. If our nice neighbors asked us to keep it down, we did. That's what you do, you be polite to your neighbor, but this ass clown was the opposite of neighborly and I doubt couldn't even spell polite, so we continued until he fell into stage 2 of my satanic father's trickery. He told his parents. Then my father made a mental sound with his big joker's grin as he ran to get his house phone and called them to tell him that we were scaring them with our big bad shotguns and hunting rifles while the damn party was still going on. And that was precisely the plan for my dad. You see, my dad played chess, not checkers, and just like a pawn he moved and manipulated him into thinking it was his idea to call his parents, but it was my dad leading him in that direction all along. My dad, you see, he is a bit manipulative against people he doesn't like, and as a person that has done a combination of sales and hard labor, He knows how to read and play on train of thought and emotion. He could manipulate them into doing whatever he wanted. Well, El Dumbo and his big ass ears fell for it, and you see his parents didn't want him partying or drinking, and as Christians they really didn't want him smoking something very green, so when they talked to him they heard the music and knew immediately that there was a party, and my dad very loudly said, "Young man, I need to speak with your parents about this. I smell illegal substances, you reek of alcohol, and these parties are getting out of hand." His parents heard him say that and ordered him to put my dad on the phone. He then told them everything, but made it sound like the son wouldn't give him the number to their hotel before the mass popularity of everyone having cell phones. Plus they were older people, like in their 50s, which was true, but he technically never asked further after the first time that he did. He then told them about the state of their and our property because of this, and anyway, they were back in only 7 hours via flight. They were coming back that day, and that was a part of the plan as well. And found the place trashed. They not only apologized, but offered us a vacation. They owned some hotel in LA, I don't remember which one, it was like a 3-star one, and gave us a 2-week pass, free food, etc. It was fun, didn't lose anything in LA. Which is a very nice southern way of saying I would never live there even if you paid me, but was fun nonetheless. In addition, I heard they kicked him out too after that, since he refused to look for a job and refused to work for the family business. The best part is, since his parents were honest people, they told the dean of his college he was attending that they will no longer be paying his tuition, so if he doesn't get you the money, to drop his ass. And that is what they did. Future ruined, now working at the local McDonald's, and lives in a rundown part of town instead of his family's really nice 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.